I'm Steve Hofstetter, and you are listening to the Poor Man's Podcast, and you should know that already because you are the one listening.
Hey, what's up, guys? Courtney from Stealing Pittsburgh here, back with another preview of the upcoming Weekend Update PGH for this week. We have an absolutely packed weekend ahead, so here are a few things I'm very excited about. If you love to go out dancing but don't want to pull an all-nighter, definitely check out the In Bed by 10 dance party at Spirit Hall this Friday. Boogie to the best contemporary and classic 80s and 90s hits from 6 to 9, and then wrap up your evening and be back in your cozies by 10. A $10 donation at the door goes to support Just Harvest, a nonprofit fighting against hunger in Allegheny County, so a super fun evening for a great cause. On Saturday, you can catch me at the Barrel and Flow Festival, located at the Stacks at Three Crossings in the Strip District. If you're new to Barrel and Flow, it's an annual celebration of brewing and art, showcasing Black breweries, artists, and small businesses. The day will feature exclusive collaboration beers, live performances, vendors, local eats, and much more. It's my personal favorite beer festival and was recently voted America's as well by a USA Today reader poll. The event runs from 12 to 9 on Saturday. Ticket and more event info can be found at barrelandflow.com. Finally, I'd be remiss as your resident disco fanatic not to mention Disco Sunday Disco happening at Trace Brewing this Sunday. I mean, everybody loves a Sunday fun day to chase away the scaries, so do a little dance and drink a little beer from 4 to 9 p.m. in the beer garden. As usual, the full Weekend Update PGH with more than 30 things to do each weekend will be live this coming Thursday. Be sure to follow at Stealing Pittsburgh, that's STEELING Pittsburgh, on Instagram and TikTok for what to eat, drink, and do locally.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. The Weekend Update PGH with Stealing Pittsburgh and Courtney. That music just cut out. Like, I had the whole thing, and I was like, why the hell is it cutting out? I thought it was going to play out a little bit. But follow her at Stealing Pittsburgh. She has over 30 things every single week. Something for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so definitely stop by. Stop down. They have In Bed by 10, Barrel and Flow. Definitely stop down for that. That's the number one beer music festival in the country. So number one in the country. So definitely stop down for that. And then you have Disco Sunday Disco. But we are back here at 565 Live. And joining us in the second half, we have comedian Brandon Johnson. Brandon, how are you tonight?
Excellent to be here. Excellent to be amongst you guys. And looking forward to the show, man. I'm really happy to be here.
We're happy to have you on, man. I've seen you at a million different mics, mostly Willow. What the?
I know, that was weird.
Did a light just go out?
A light just went out. I don't know which one.
What is up with tonight? Every time we start recording,
I don't know.
Siri went
Not
off.
me. I don't have those type of powers. If somebody like Siri, how do I survive this horror movie as a black man? Can you give me an answer, Siri? Siri, no
Doesn't
answer.
look good.
There you go.
Nothing.
Doesn't look good. But yeah.
Honestly, though, it could possibly be the weather.
Oh, I keep forgetting
could
that.
possibly
because
be the weather.
Yeah, we're here, as I've said a million times, at 565 Speakeasy and Stage. Stop down for comedy on Thursday. Stop down for music on Friday, Saturday. Comedy is, I think, every other Thursday now, so stop down for that. But yeah, we're like underground, so I completely forgot there was
it's
some weather going on, right?
The winds are supposed to be like super insane. It's supposed to be really bad. It's like a whole, like the alert severe thunderstorm situation.
And I feel like down here is probably the worst case scenario because the Wi-Fi has been treating us like trash.
Right.
But we are here with Brandon,
Regardless,
like I've
we'll
said
still
a
have
million
audio,
times.
right?
No, everything's good to go.
Okay.
But it's just annoying.
Yeah.
But Brandon, in the last week at Willow Station, you guys hit your 100th mic, right?
Yes,
That's huge. Congratulations.
Thank you, everybody. It is a big thing. A lot of mics get started different places, and then kind of come and go depending on ownership, crowd size. A lot of things go into it. So I have to especially thank Dom over at Willow Station for entrusting me with hosting them, and also my co-host Joey Purse, and also Mark Shimkitz. We really have a good thing going, and for 100 weeks, that's like 2 years. We started during the pandemic. He really did roll the dice with me. He saw me perform at Hurry Up Say Something Funny over in Carnegie at Apis Brewery. Shout out to Apis. wine and meadery. And I did so well there, and it stuck into his mind. He said, hey, if I start comedy at my bar, I want you to be able to host. And I was like, hey, that's like the right kind of thing happened. During the pandemic, we didn't know if things were going to come back to normal,
Right.
what was going to be written, how things were going to go. We had an idea. We started to execute it, and just built a nice crowd over those 100 weeks. We had out-of-town comics drop in, headliners from the Improv drop in, a lot of our features that are over at the Improv that you see regularly come to my mic, and I'm really proud of the product that we have a chance to put out there.
Yeah, you're very professional. If I can say anything, Brandon, you're very professional. You're there. It's one of those guys, like, he's there on time. He has everything ready. You know, he knows what he's doing, and it just makes it easier for everyone else. And it makes it more legit. Like, if you go somewhere and they don't care, then it almost makes it feel like it's not. Like, why should I care?
Right.
They don't care.
Yeah.
Brandon, he's always super organized. Everything always goes super smooth. And he's super funny, which is probably the most important. Brandon, I saw some pictures of you at the Improv in the last couple weeks too, right? Or
Yes, you would be correct. On July 2nd, I had a chance to host for Clayton English, and the feature was done by Eric Nesby. It was our first time officially hosting, and it was his first time featuring. And I'd followed Clayton English for since before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And we just stayed in touch through online. He went through some stuff, and then also he started getting into Hawkeye, the Marvel series. He got into 85 South show. He started to have a chance to develop that into now it's like the #1 comedy show streaming on Netflix is their special. And we just stayed in touch, and the right opportunity came. I had a chance to host, rocked out with the crowd, looking forward to going back there and doing more stuff with them. And Clayton was just always professional, always hilarious, staying in touch with him, and he's got a lot of good projects coming up too.
that's one of those things, like you were just saying, like, so what, you didn't really know beforehand that you were going to do it, you were just ready, and then you found out.
I was the best availability is whenever you have opportunity and just like being ready meet.
Right.
So the regular host there, he had to drop off for Sunday. It was actually that Friday. I was coming off of a Don't Tell show, Don't Tell Pittsburgh, done by Ronnie Fleming. I really had a chance to crush that crowd there. And I decided to go over to the Improv. And I sent him an email saying, hey, I'd like to be able to host for Clayton while he's in town. Couldn't do Saturday, but then Sunday, it was like, hey, if you want to come by and host, there's an opportunity there for you. And had a chance to meet it, riding this hot streak, and kept it going.
Wow.
I feel like that's kind of the point that I wanted to hit, though, is that just the opportunity came up and you were ready to go. And I think that's super cool. To, like, you hear that a lot about when people are like, oh, he's lucky or whatever. It's like the chance and opportunity kind of thing. But like, you have to be ready to go. And that opportunity came up and you did it, and you reached out like, hey, I want to do this. And I think that initiative and stuff, I respect that 100%, but I feel like it shows, like, if you're willing to like actually put some effort in, like, you'd be amazed what, like, who will say yes to certain things, or like what you can do if you just like make an effort to do it.
Right, exactly.
But like, not to like sell it short, like, oh, he was just there. Like, he was prepared, he had everything ready to go. And I just think that's super cool. And I think it's very professional, Brandon. And that's like, like, I keep going back to that, not to like sell anything short of the comedy.
Yeah.
But I feel like the professional thing, like, because when you like meet people and people in entertainment and comedy, sometimes people flake out, and sometimes they don't show up, and sometimes they're inconsistent or not reliable.
Right.
And I think like with that, maybe it's just me personally because I'm OCD with that, but like, I super respect Brandon.
Yeah.
And like the work he puts in, because he's there, he's consistent, he has the mics. 100 weeks, that's a lot, man. That's a lot.
Yeah. How does it feel? Does it feel like 100? Does it feel like a lot?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does. After a while, you get some newer comics, and they haven't found their consistent funny yet. You see pieces of it. You see some guys that just want to go for the edginess, for the shock, and you're there through that whenever you hopefully find that breakthrough whenever they're able to put a lot of stuff together. And then also like the crowds. Sometimes we'll have people coming in from a rainstorm, coming in from a pirate game, coming in from a local community event, and they just want to sit down and drink. But if we're on there, and at least I'm giving them the best product that I can as far as setting up as many comedians as I can for success during the intros, as far as interacting with them to make sure that they're a part of the show, and really just showing that care that you decided to come into Willow Station at all the places during my night, and we have a chance to provide you with some good comedy. Please keep coming back.
Right,
So,
right.
Once they see that, it's like, okay, Pirates, I could take people from the bar and we could win 7-6. They're already getting blown out. So I'm going to start paying attention to the stand-up. Or the Pirates win. They're feeling all right. They may give a few extra tips to the bar staff and may give us some more attention, and it's all good times.
I did want to say, we were talking a little bit about this off the break. I know we're kind of going backwards, but I want to touch on one of the Stealing Pittsburgh events.
What was that? What, Barrel and Flow?
Brandon was talking about one of the events is one he's been to every single year. It's like his favorite thing to do.
Yeah, Barrel and Flow Fest is one of the ones I look forward to. I always try and get my ticket in advance, and it's the one that you get in before everybody else's. So I had a chance to walk around and meet a lot of the brewers before the general audience does come in. It was started by my friends Dave Bracey and Ed Bailey, and it was just an idea, and they had a chance to put pen to sponsorship to everything else to actually having the very first festival and then seeing it grow every single year as we all started out together essentially in the same time in comedy. So to see them going and taking that and me being able to support it, and I'm working on some stuff with them for next year. I'm looking forward to. I'm not going to disclose it. I'm not going to put that out there. I'm just going to say I'm working.
Heard it here first.
Yeah. And with them, those are guys that really put a lot of effort into an audience that isn't heard about but is there, which is people of color brewing in Texas, people that are doing it in New Jersey, people are doing it in Wisconsin, people from the West Coast traveling all the way over here from Ohio. Different places are wanting to come and display their wares and actually link up and network with others. So it's like saying, hey, you're not the only one. It's like the Black Avengers just coming in for beer. And you see them come together, and you see the camaraderie amongst everybody else. And after a couple drinks, after a couple samples, everybody's having a good time. It's kids are just walking around, even though they're not consuming, which but they're walking around, and their parents are able to walk around. They're eating food, music's going on, and it's really just a nice time for the amount of time that you're there. It really is.
Yeah,
that's so cool to have that.
Good.
That's one of the things that I think maybe people around here kind of take for granted. It's completely different than the aviary. I completely understand that. Let me say that first. But the aviary we have here is a national aviary, and people don't give it enough respect, okay? Completely different from that. I just want to give the aviary its due. That being said, the fact that this is here, that's so cool, and I think people overlook it kind of thing. Even with the Steelers, or maybe that's a better one. The Steelers are so good that we kind of overlook it. Okay, when they have a down year, 8-8, it seems awful because that excellence. And it's like Ed and Day, they brought all this, and they're so consistent, and they're hard workers. And like you were saying, with guys headlining at the Improv or whatever that you can see at your mics, I don't want to, say, find people there, but there's some guys there out of Ed and Day that maybe you could find at Willow Station every now and then. Stop down, see some really quality guys. But Ed and Day, those guys just working and just it's hard to keep working at something over and over and over and over again. And the fact that they've done it and have been successful and then have reached the pinnacle of being number one at it. That's incredible. That's awesome. That is so cool to be able to do that.
And with us starting out, especially with Ed, he used to host a mic over at Union Pig and Chicken, which is not there. And for the crowd of us that were performing at that time, it was a special place. And to see two comedians doing a beer festival and having it go there, Ed will come by whenever he has some new stuff and work it out. And I always give him that opportunity because back whenever I was young on it and he was just grinding and also having a mic, he gave me that opportunity. So things come around. But also, if you hear Ed Bailey's comedy and also Dave Bracey's, you realize that, there's a reason why Ed is headlining over there. There's a reason why he's featuring for some of your favorite comedians, whether it's Tony Rock, whether it's a bunch of other people that may come through. And I can read off his resume too, but those brothers are dynamic, and just to see how the talent that they're able to pick and really run with the opportunities that they had. They are definitely goals that I myself have to adapt.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing comedy?
10 years. 10 years this year. It's really been maybe about 11 because I started out as Pittsburgh comedy super fan. So I would just always be at the mics, never performing. But I was studying them. I was watching them. And after they come off stage, I would give them feedback about what the crowd said to help better inform their jokes, help them better write. And I was also able to get in on some shows that, hey, if I'm giving them good intel, if I'm a nice guy, it makes sense for me to be able to get them into a show or something for a reduced amount or just to be able to hang around. So I went in with that information. And then one night, Sean Collier, who you may know from Pittsburgh Magazine, he hosted a mic over at Beer Hive, which is in the Strip District. They had one. They were low on comics. I was there. They had a really hot crowd, and the mic cut out. So we all had to project. And he was like, hey, man, we need some comedians to come up. We're a bit low. You want to come up finally? After I've been asked like a bunch of times, I said, fine, I'll go up.
Right.
I remember my first set because I had to follow a guy that told a story about being the Chuck E. Cheese rat.
Shut up.
And these are just things, as a comedian, after a while, you remember your first. You remember certain things. So I remember having to follow him. And I think that might have been like the first couple times. I've never seen him since. But he talked about him being the Chuck E. Cheese rat and all the stuff that went into it. And Charles Entertainment Cheese. I had to look that up afterwards.
Is that what the E stands for?
Yeah, Charles Entertainment Cheese.
I kind of feel like I remember reading that before.
That.
That's awesome. That's why I want my next child's middle name to be Danger.
So
Exactly.
they it was
Danger's my middle
it was
name.
a thing, and there you go. That'll be a nice kid, especially for all of his teachers to read off. But yeah, I had to follow him. I told a joke about Sid Bream and the '92 Pirates, just basically taking away my innocence, much like the Catholic Church did. And I went into it, man. I still have a lot of stuff against that. The Braves, Sid Bream, and I don't want to say his name too much. I'll spit. But a lot of stuff like that. And then it was amongst people that were watching Pirate games. So they were like, oh, yeah, that guy's fantastic. Clap.
Yeah.
Everything else. And then that was the bug. Then I texted a couple friends. Some people already knew. Like, you're like, oh, Brandon finally went up. Oh, congratulations. Oh, this, that, and the other. And I didn't go as hard as I think I should have that first year, so I really didn't count it. I was just going up sporadically. But then that second year, bam, I started hitting it hard. And then 10 years has gone by and more opportunities have come.
So when you started, or so from the beginning, you went as pretty much just as an audience member, as a fan. You just enjoy comedy. And then what people were telling you should do it. Did you have that kind of like, I want to do it kind of, but I don't have that confidence kind of thing? Because I know that's what it was like for me. Like, I was like, I feel like I have some funny stuff, but talking in front of people is terrifying. And then like saying something that you think is funny, like that's very vulnerable. Like the whole thing, it was like, that's one reason I respect anybody who gets up on stage. Like, it's terrifying for anybody the first time doing that. At least it was for me. But
I think for me, I had debate in college and I had debate in high school. So speaking in front of crowds came a bit second nature to me. But just it was all about the craft. I'd watched too many hours of Eddie Murphy. I had seen so many hours of Rock, Seinfeld, everybody else, that as I was giving them information, they were like, yo, I could actually talk to this guy off stage because he knows what's happening, what's going on. And then it was just like, yo, why don't you try comedy? I was like, I'd rather just feed you guys the intel, feed you guys that.
yeah.
And then they already know I have a good speaking voice. They were like, "Yo, seriously, go ahead up." And I was like, "Nah, I'll leave that to you guys. I'm comfortable where I was at." And then that night, the opportunity presented itself, and I just finally did say yes. But it was one of those things where I got the trust of the local comedians out there. I had enough of a catalog in my mind to recall the greats that they looked up to, and I had a good perspective of listening to what the audience was saying as they're joking, the things that went up before it as far as the setup, and just how they wanted to have the crowd come up afterwards.
Yeah.
So if I'm able to tell you guys that, then it's like I didn't need to be the one that's behind the actual microphone until it was that time.
Right.
Do you feel like you've like changed from the beginning to now? Like, do you feel like in the beginning you might have like pretended to be what you pictured a stand-up to sound like, and then found your own voice, and now you're different? Or was it always authentic? Or what was it like for you?
I think everybody, especially, they have to get over that part once they first start doing stand-up. And I, no matter how long you've been watching it, no matter how informed you may have been, you're still going to go through the same things. No matter what age you start at, you're still going to go through that. So that's why, like, that first year, I went up sporadically. I would post, like, hey, these are the things that I'm doing. It was just like a bunch of open mics. I had maybe a couple minutes worth of material. I carried around a red notebook with me with my notes, with my jokes into it, and I did that. That was one of the things that the pros I learned from. But then you also have to, like, listen to yourself. If you do an audio recording, you have to get comfortable with your writing, because so many people write all over, but once it's time to go over their notes or put together their set, if they can't do that, then that's a bit of a deficit onto them, and that's something that I went through. And also, you have to be comfortable with you not getting the jokes immediately. And if you do, that's fine. But then the sustaining, you have to be able to try to sustain that for X amount of years. And do you want to keep on coming out? So you may be hot for a month. Everything else is cooking for that month. But then 3 months, the new material that you write, you don't get any laughs. You have to be comfortable with that, saying, okay, I have to go back to the gym. I have to go back and write. That's something everybody has to do.
Yeah.
Brandon, sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I just really want to know how you felt listening to yourself for the first time.
I felt like I needed to, and this is just my naivete, I loved it. Like,
really?
I loved the deepness of my voice, the command that I had. I've gotten more in control over it.
Yeah.
But sometimes I would just kind of speak away like this from the mic. I didn't have the proper technique about how to control my voice as it relates to the crowd. So I already enjoyed my voice, but did it resonate with the crowd? And if I was saying something funny, was I able to get that reaction?
Yeah.
As you're starting out, those are the things that you don't know, and like everybody else, bombed. I had to go to other places, bombed. I had my ego inflated, thinking, they should be laughing at this because this is some of the greatest things that come out of my mind, and then nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like you have to almost humble yourself. You do have to humble yourself to be like, okay, what is it that's going on? What do I have to go back and correct? Talk to somebody else. Especially if you have somebody that's been performing longer than you, instead of somebody that's like your peer.
Right.
Go to somebody that's performing older than you, and then ask them some questions, and then kind of soak that up. That'll help better inform you to get through those trying times.
So you can't go into comedy with an ego.
You can. You may not last very long.
Okay.
That's the one thing.
that makes sense.
And then as you go on, your ego, you have to be able to control it for the crowd. But more importantly, once you step off stage, you have to control it for yourself.
Right.
Because the people that don't maybe have control over their ego easily fall into drugs, easily fall into all the illicit things that entertainment industry has for them.
Yeah.
And they'll end up burning themselves out, burning out anybody that can possibly be able to tell them, hey, man, slow down.
Right.
Or you just really, because of your ego, if it's that inflated, you may push away so many other people that you want to try and bring in to invest.
Yeah.
If they get such that bad taste from you because of your ego, it's like, it really is, you have to put your ego in Hulkbuster armor and really control it every single time you go up on stage, but more importantly, on that drive back.
That would be rough.
Brandon, let me ask you this, because you host a mic, which is different than, some other people that I have on here who just do, just will do stand up or, do their shows or whatever they're doing as a host and kind of organizing things. You have a different perspective of it. How do you know when you're up there what's funny? Maybe you think it's funny and where it just didn't work with those people because, like you were saying earlier, maybe they're coming from a pirate game. Maybe they're coming from something else. In my experience, a lot of mics are surprise comedies tonight, deal with it kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, try to win them over kind of thing, which is, that's kind of what you have to do, I guess, which
Like,
is
how
fine.
do you know when to
But
continue
how do
the
you
joke?
how do you know, like, what you're saying could be funny or not funny, or are they just not listening? You just trust yourself?
Yeah, the crowd will, and I learned this from Tony Rock, the crowd will let you know how you're doing and a little bit of the direction you need to go. But also conversely, if the crowd is going away, if they're like talking a bit too loud, if they're focusing on anything else, you have to be able to direct them back to the stage, back to the performers. So as a host, I kind of go up there with some of my material that I have, but also what Tony Rock told me is that, especially if you're hosting an open mic, try and have 5 minutes, five new minutes every time you go up there. So in between me reading off the daily specials and going into introducing the first comedian, or at least the second comedian, because I'm the first one that they see, in between there, I have to sprinkle in some of the thoughts that I think are new, that are funny, but also some of the tried and true. Mm-hmm. So if I'm able to blend a little bit of those, especially if they haven't heard it before,
right,
then it's like, oh, bam, this guy's fantastic. Even the regulars, if I'm able to give some of their, like, telegraph what's going on, they'll be like, okay, this is the part. You got to sit back.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I'm able to give them that and then just really go with the flow, that means crowd work, that means reading what everybody else is talking about, whether it's a couple there, whether it's a guy that's just kind of sitting over the corner by himself, whether it's a guy that may be going onto his phone a whole bunch, maybe making a trade or a Coke deal or whatever else he's going into. Like, I have to be able to kind of read all that, and then in the way that I can, kindly bring the attention back to us, make them a little bit a part of it, and make them feel as comfortable as they can. That's why I try and ask, hey, if this is anybody else's first time at an open mic, this is how it's going to go. We're going to get through this together. So I try and lay that out there at the beginning also.
I think I like that because I work in a restaurant and I'm used to waiting on parties and things like that and being kind of a host, taking care of them, taking care of their drinks and things like that.
You are those.
And I think you do a great job with that, making sure everybody feels comfortable, everybody comes up, everything runs, like I said a million times, everything runs very smoothly. Now, my question for you, with when you go up with your technique, with the way that you do it, you go up, you do your set for 5-10 minutes in the beginning. In between each one, you were saying you do some things that work, some new things. Do you go up and try to just feel off what they just said, or because how much time do you really have in between it? Like a minute, 2 minutes?
In between, I have maybe 10 seconds to 15 seconds.
Right, yeah.
Like, that internal clock will start to kick in outside of what the audience may be viewing. So I already have a set list in my mind, edited while I'm talking to them, and then seeing, hey, how can I be able to extend part one, and then just kind of go off from there. So if I say something funny and some girl over there to my right just starts snorting, bam, I love snorters. So I know, I'm going to deviate all in your septum. So I want you to keep on coming back. So I'm going to keep on feeding off. Okay, so what is your table like? How did you come here? Who's all a part of what? How are you guys doing? Bam. So whatever material I had kind of gets shifted into, I'm going to bring the focus onto you and our conversation, but it's going to be controlled because I'm going to try and block out as many other things as I can while I'm listening to somebody order chicken fingers over there, another conversation going over there, but we're still going to make this thing happen until I feel like, okay, I've gotten enough out of you. Please continue to enjoy the rest of the show. We're going to move on to the rest of the show.
Yeah.
I like crowd work. Crowd work makes me laugh. I enjoy crowd work.
Well, crowd work's
Don't
nice.
do it to me. But do
Yeah.
it to the table next to me so I'm close enough to it so I can hear all the conversation. But it makes me laugh. I love crowd work.
That's one of the things I will say. Brandon, in between everybody, he always has some kind of quip or something that's always very entertaining. That always makes me laugh out loud.
Yeah.
Brandon, are you you're gonna be doing the mics at Willow Station going forward at Tuesday? You and Joey, or how's that gonna go?
Yeah.
Anybody who wants to stop down, because like we were saying, there's some really, really, really funny people there. There's some shows there occasionally. Just stop down. If you're going to go out and have a drink or have some wings
You
or
might
whatever,
as well have entertainment.
go there. Like, I'm telling you, you will enjoy it more than you think.
Yeah, thank you. I in addition to hosting Willow Station, it's myself, Joey will host, and Mark Shimkitz at the last
Right.
one at the month. He always has some crazy off the wall idea that somehow works, whether it's chicken wings and it was like his own take on hot ones, whether it's picking from a bucket, whether it's a character thing, something he has that it will be a good idea, and he executes it as only Mark Shimkitz can. So there's always something through the upcoming weeks on Tuesday. Also, I booked my own show out in Indiana, Pennsylvania. That's going to start up in the fall. I'll be bringing comedians from Pittsburgh over to Los Locos Taqueria. That's right along Philadelphia Street that's down there. And immediately, at least in the more immediate sense, on the 25th of August, I will be hosting for Josh Dweh over at Arcade Comedy Theater, which I just came back from. I was a part of their lab, and now I'm going to have a chance to host for a young guy that's like 23, but he's already got enough accolades to tour, and he chose me to be able to host for him, so I'm going to give him my all for that.
Congratulations.
And, thank
That's
you.
awesome.
Yeah. So I have those things coming up, and also in like the immediate sense, it's those ones, but also I think I have a Alzheimer's benefit, but also a show coming up in Freeport, PA, with very good comedy. That's with Robert Puncher out of New York. He comes back from New York. He's a Pittsburgh guy, and he'll have shows that he has coming up, and I'll be a part of and performing on those. So that one should be coming up on August 26th. I'm looking forward to that.
Can you tell everyone where they can find you on social media?
Yes, on Facebook, Brandon Johnson. I promote my shows on there. Instagram, Brandon Laughs Last, at Brandon Laughs Last. I post my shows, post as many pictures as I can. Sometimes it's over at the Improv. Sometimes it's stuff that's on my mind that I think other young comedians should be able to have. And then I also have my YouTube channel, The Comedy Stylings of Brandon Johnson. I uploaded some new clips, just trying to work around with YouTube algorithms, as you guys have, seeing which one works. I'm still trying to find what works best for me. But yeah, the Comedy Stylings of Brandon Johnson, if you look that up, those are where you can find me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I do have one more question for you before we touch on one. I have like one news story because Danny's not here with that, and I'm interested in this one. You were talking about Don't Tell Comedy with Ronnie. Where did you do your show, and how did that go?
I did my show at Move. It's along Penn Avenue in East Liberty, and it's like a bit of a holistic gym where they have workout materials, they have carpeting on the floors. It's like a nice place to go ahead and work out and do it in a holistic manner. But the way that they had it set up, it seemed like, and I said this with as much love and as much care as I could for the place, it looked like an Illuminati sex dungeon.
Oh.
Just on the floor. And just looking around it, they had a lot of stuff there. And hopefully I'll have a chance to go back and perform there. But that's where I had my Don't Tell.
What kind of performance are you doing, Brandon?
You can't tell.
Illuminati sex dungeon.
I'll tell you what, go to Move. It's MUV.
Yeah.
Look it up. The guys there are fantastic. But if you look it up and actually go to the place and look around, you'll realize how bit of an accurate description I just gave it. And that's just a sample of the comedy that I have a chance to deliver to him. But yeah, it was a really nice time. I thank Ronnie for the spot, for everything, and I'll be doing some more Don't Tells coming up with him, working with him at some point. And yeah, that's the one where you say you like crowd work. It's a whole different crowd to try and do crowd work in.
Yeah.
And it was a fantastic time.
How are the crowds for this?
They are intimate. And by intimate, I mean like 20 to 30 or so.
That's a good number.
So you have enough eyes on you to where everybody else is really invested in the show. They're not going to be on their phones. They're not going to be any place else. And it's at places that traditionally don't have comedy. It's not going to be at a club. It's not going to be here at 565 or any other. It'll just be somewhere. So you have to really have a good skill set to come in there and get their attention.
Yeah.
Have them laughing. It's like, you know what? However much I pay for this ticket, you were the extra.
Yeah.
You were the thing that, yes, I want to be able to follow you. Or if I have something coming up, I want to be able to hire you for a certain event, or I want to be able to network with you somehow, because what I just saw was very funny, and I believe it could be able to help me if we collaborate.
Yeah.
Are you one of the
that's
kind of
cool.
guys who records things and then goes back and like breaks down the film kind of thing, where you just feel it and you remember, or how are you?
Me, I am at the advanced performing age of 10 years. I now can audio record myself, go back and kind of edit from there. If I have video footage, I will also go back, and before I try and upload it onto my YouTube channel, I'll go back and see what sort of things like I maybe could have done better, what sort of response did the crowd give me and the crowd at that time. And those are the things that like also stick with you. So yes, I do go back and I break down my tape. I break down my X's and O's, and try to put together whatever the next game plan is to win them over.
Right. You're doing a good job.
Yeah,
A
Brandon.
lot of good things.
I think you're absolutely hilarious. Every time I've gone out and have done shows, I did the one mic at Willow that you were talking about with Mark, where we pulled something out of a hat. And that was a good time. I like things like that. I like where it's like you can't be prepared kind of thing. You just roll with it.
Yeah.
Because it's fun. It can be funny. Sometimes it's bad, which is also funny. But it's definitely a fun opportunity. And if you go there, like it's always entertaining.
Right.
It's way better than anything else you're going to get anywhere else. And if you're going to go out, like I said, dude, I'm telling you, just do this. Like it's free.
Yeah.
You go out, you have your wings, you have your dinner, you have your beer, and then you can do this as well. But I can't recommend Willow enough. Stop down on Tuesdays. What time does it start? 8?
I tell everybody to get there at 8:30 so we could start at 9. And this past one, like number 101, we actually had an abundance of comedians, and I didn't want to turn them away, but also I had to respect the staff and the fact that they had to get out at a certain time. So I had to unfortunately cut some people's times, but they were still able to perform. So I haven't turned anybody else away yet. I haven't kicked anybody else back out into the streets. So if you took the time to stop by, I want to at least throw you up at some point.
Yeah.
And the one last thing I will say about Brandon before I say the one news story, it's one of those things that if you're getting into comedy, it can be like overwhelming and kind of like intimidating kind of thing. There's a lot of like pretty decent people that I've met through comedy, and Brandon's definitely one of them. Like he's very respectful. You go up, and then I remember the one time I went up, I can't remember what you said, but it was something encouraging. It was something that was it helped me. It was to make me better, and I appreciate it. I can't remember exactly what it is now, but I do remember. It stuck out to me enough that I remembered enough.
Yeah, I think it was because you had kind of you had more than a couple premises, but they weren't fully fleshed out as far as jokes. So that's why I kept on, and I tell a lot of people, keep coming out, keep writing, is to do something like that. And then also you have to, stage-wise, you have to get comfortable with yourself on stage. You were still moving around a lot and maybe keeping the microphone too much away from you, so whenever you wanted to say something funny, if it was over from like that point something of a second, it could throw off the rest of whatever else you had a chance to say. So that was that. Once again, with us being together, it comes back to me.
I can't believe that he remembered that, because it was very accurate to something like that. I had a bunch of stuff, and I was like, this is funny, let's see what works, and then I'll build off of that. But yeah, I like I said, 7 times now. Stop down at Willow Station Tuesday night. Shay, I have one news story here. I'm not going to get into a bunch because this is a super long episode. We're already like an hour and a half in for the entire episode.
Oh, wow.
But this one story I saw, because Brandon, I like to wake up. I wake up at like 6 every day to go to the bathroom. I get up, I pee, and I take my morning medication, my bipolar shit I have to take. So I'll get up, and then I'll just like sit on my phone and look for 10 minutes or whatever. And then at the end of the week when I'm doing the show, I'll go back and see my history and see certain things. The one thing that got me is, I'm sure you've heard of the Zuckerberg and Elon Musk fight and how Zuckerberg's training
MMA.
and the Zuckerberg meal from McDonald's. Have you heard this, Shay?
No, not the meal.
It's not like the one they're having like Sweetie or whatever. You know how they had that?
Yeah.
Or Travis Scott.
Scott,
Yeah, he had that. He has 20 nuggets, a quarter pounder, a large fry, Oreo McFlurry, apple pie, and then maybe some side cheeseburgers for later is what this says.
Jesus.
I feel like that's attainable. I think I could do that.
Yourself?
Yeah.
In one sitting?
If I go to McDonald's for me and I'm
Okay.
like hungry and I'm
Okay.
going to eat it, I get a 10-piece nugget,
Okay.
a large fry, a large Sprite, because the fucking Sprite at McDonald's is so good.
And that's it?
No.
Okay.
Sprite there is different.
Yeah.
It's
absolutely.
the straw.
I remember seeing something. The Sprite at McDonald's hits like the fucking air conditioning on vacation.
Yes.
When you like
Which is
crank
true.
it. Like
but it's not the Sprite itself. It's the straw. It's McDonald's straw. They make it that big because you get more carbonation in one sip than you do any other places, which is why it hits so sharp and so intensely. It's because of how big their straw is. That's a fact.
diameter. It's
Look it
about
up.
girth, Shay.
I swear.
It always
swear
comes
that's
back
why.
to girth. Yeah, I would believe that.
No. Okay, so you were saying, so you got your nuggets, you got your Sprite, you got your large fry. What else you get?
If I'm going like
If
I
you're
was saying,
going hungry.
I don't go 20-piece. I go 10-piece for me.
Yeah.
Large fry, Sprite. I'll get a burger, if not 2 double cheeseburgers. The
Right.
cheap ones though. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like the fucking burgers, like not.
Yeah,
good.
right. No,
So I'll
agreed.
do the 2 double cheeseburgers, maybe a milkshake. The whole way I'm looking at this though, quarter pounder, that's another thing. Nuggets, you could eat nuggets, no problem.
Easy.
Like
Done.
you could be completely full and still eat 10 pieces. Of
I'm
nuggets.
getting a 10-piece, I'm getting a Big Mac, and I'm getting a McChicken.
Oreo McFlurry.
Small fry.
You put that down. Apple pie, small. And then it says maybe cheeseburgers for later. When I go to McDonald's or wherever I go, Brandon, I always get whatever I'm going to eat. And then I also get an extra whatever for the ride home because I'm that fat.
Oh, no, agreed. I absolutely agree with you.
Absolutely. That's
I'm
the way to
getting
go.
food to eat to wherever my destination is so that I can eat at my destination.
Right. You don't want to, I don't want to
going
eat
3 for
into
3
my
then.
fries.
Yeah, we go 3
Yeah.
for 3. That's a real thing. Like, yes. Agreed.
If I have my meal, I don't want my meal being sullied before I get home. I don't want it being touched. So I'll get
No.
the other fries and the the junior cheeseburger.
Oh, well, of
Eat
course,
that
you
at
got to
home.
go value meal for
Yeah,
your
man.
ride home meal.
Come on, man.
Come on, we're not that bad. Get
I
it
know.
together.
Come on, Shay. Come on.
Yeah, no, agreed. Especially if I'm at Wendy's, I'm either getting a 4-piece, which usually upsets me. So usually I don't. I'm not eating that on the way home. I need something more. I'm gonna get a junior bacon cheeseburger
Well,
for the ride home, and I usually will get everything on it, which is weird because I never want lettuce, tomato, or onion on my shit.
well,
at a
this
fast food
this
joint.
brings me to the big question. I'll ask you and I'll ask Brandon. How they have the sweetie meal and Travis Scott and Mark Zuckerberg was talking about this. If they had the Shay meal or if they had the Brandon meal, where is it from and what is it?
Where's it from? I have to pick a place.
It doesn't necessarily have to be McDonald's.
Okay, I got a couple places.
But we're
That's
not
the
gonna do
thing.
we're not gonna do the McDonald's fries.
You can't mix
the
it.
Wendy's burger.
Yeah, you can't mix it.
One place, they're sponsoring you. Okay, Shay, you're touring across the country. Jack in the Box says, Shay, what are you doing?
All right, so
I
this is
picked
the
the
thing.
one burger chain that's not.
That's
out
what I'm not going to pick. I'm going to straight go McDonald's because I know for a fact what I'm getting there every single time I go. There's a 99.9% chance I'm not going to switch it up when I go to McDonald's. When I
Okay.
go to Wendy's, Baconator, they have like a spicy burger kind of thing that I like to switch it up. McDonald's, it's the same. I want a Big Mac with no pickles. Put pickles on there, I'm coming back. I'm mad about it. I want to make chicken.